I took off this little decking part that's basically 12 inches wide that will go right in front of the engine, because now what I'm working on is increasing the height of the center of that arc, like I mentioned on a previous video. Here's what that template piece looks like laid in here. And like I mentioned, I made the arc an inch higher than the original, which here's the original. I won't be able to put it in exactly where it goes, but like this. So that template piece is roughly supposed to be an inch higher than what this original arc was. And I don't like the arc being higher, because stepping back, it may be hard to see, because there'd be another piece here roughly a foot away, and it would have the same arc, and then I'd have short little I don't know what you call those, if they're battens or what, but deck members that go like that. And I don't want it curved that much. I do like the extra height because it gives me more room, because what I have in here also is a template piece for the front support of the motor box. And so the motor box, remember, it'll be hinged and it'll open like this, and this would provide front support. And I'm going to put another one here and a couple back here, and then the top of the motor box will be the same arc as these. But I don't know. I don't like that it's arced that much. So I am gonna lower back down and go from there, so I won't have as much room for like this. But the other thing that I am doing is, this is a game of millimeters here. I want this motor box to be as low as possible, and so that the top will arc up a little bit. Well, if you notice, the way that I have this right now is the top of this riser is basically level with the top of this. So this motor box needs to be a little higher than that. But on that side, can't really tell too much, but that side there's a gap, which means the motor is not the same side to side. So I'm going to check. I'm going to measure from the stringer up. I'm going to use stringers. I was trying to use my level and then my electronic angle gauge to see about level. Well, the boat back here from the top of the stringers, it's roughly 0 degrees. It's level, but up here there's a little bit of a maybe 0.4 degrees. So I'm getting a little bit of it's not exact, and so I can't really reference just absolute level. Now I'm just going to just measure my reference as the top of the stringers, and I'm going to see how from the top of the stringer I'm going to measure up to the top of this riser. I'm going to do the same on that side and see if the motor is actually level. If it's not, if it needs to be tilted down a little bit this way, that's good. That'll actually help me a little bit. And so that's what I'm working through right now. So I may have to be doing some adjustments with my motor. The other thing that I probably need to do is align the motor a little bit more. Quite a few videos ago, I have the motor where the prop shaft, the alignment is mostly done, but I need to tweak it in, and I can't remember if I'm going to need to tweak the front of the motor up a little or the back of it down a little. I mean, I'll do one or the other. If I need to go like this, I will lower the back a little if I can, but I got to be careful because the prop shaft hole, I don't want that shaft going down. So I'll probably raise the front a little bit. So I need to do that though, because I'm really I want to make, again, the top of the motor box as close as I can to the top of the motor, which really just means the risers. Those are the things that stick up the most. So that's what's going on. So I measured to the top of each of these risers, and I thought maybe the risers were slightly different in dimension, but I measured from this edge up, and they're both like 6 inches, so they're the same. So this side of the engine was about 1/8 of an inch higher after I measured from down here in the stringer. What I did is I clamped on took my square and I clamped that on, and I measured, that way it's top of the stringer, and I was able to measure from that up to the riser. And this side was, again, roughly 1/8 of an inch, which isn't a lot, but I think it should be level. So what I did is I came in here in this front motor mount on the port side, and I used this, I think it's called a claw foot, and I was able to get down in there and lower that, loosen this top bolt, and then I was able to turn that and lower this down a little bit. And I also lowered that one down some. So now I'll probably have more work to do when I align the engine, when I do the final prop shaft alignment. And I decided not to really mess with that now because we're not talking about that much. And I'm gonna have enough room up front to deal with if that goes up or down a little bit, and the same in the back. So I don't think I need to worry about that. But so it's the same now from top of the stringer up on each side. So should be better. This is my template piece that I had that goes in, be right in front of the engine, goes across there. And if you remember a little bit ago, I said it was just a little too tall. I felt like it was humped up more. This is the original. And so now what I'm trying to do is adjust this. And so I've got this thin piece on here, and that's what I use to give me a nice curve. And this is what I did to cut this, but I had this be 1 inch higher than that original. That was just too high. So now what I'm doing is I'm holding it with these pieces here, holding it at 16 inches. So 16 inches from center of both sides. So this is gonna be the same height as what it was, but then let it sag in the center like this. So it's coming down a little bit. It might be 1/4 inch or so. And I'm gonna try that, because before when I cut this, I held it right in the center and then just ran my curve from there. So I'm trying to tone this down a little bit so it doesn't give the appearance of sticking up so much in the center. I'll see how I like that. I suspect I might tweak this even more, but I'm just going to do it little by little until I get something that I think I'm going to like, and so we'll see how it goes. So I've been checking the dimension to see from, like, when I'm, let me just describe this. So I've got this template piece put in here, and I've got it matching where this combing is, and this combing is just rough sanded. I'll be putting a real, like a finished piece in here, but that side of the boat, or that on that side, is like lower, actually higher, that this part of this combing on that side than this side. And I'm like trying to figure out, well, this is just rough sanded. I wasn't real careful about that, knowing I was going to be putting another piece in, but I should have done a little better job because my cover board is going to rest on it. But I wanted to check from this frame, because this bottom of this frame, those two should be good. Though, forget this, but these should be. So what I did is I put spacers on here so my level could go up over the air filter intake and stuff, air intake of the engine. And so I'm measuring with my gauge, and I'm getting 0.2 degrees, but when I measure the levelness from between the stringers, I'm getting about 0.1 degrees. So it's roughly 0.1 degree angle like this, which means that side is, when I do the math, it's a little over 1/10 of an inch higher, and that's close enough for me. But what I'm seeing is I'm getting like a 1/4 inch difference between this board and both sides. So I really kind of didn't do the best job of sanding those and stuff. So I'll have to deal with that. But anyway, it makes me feel better because it's important when I'm working my motor box, because you can see this part. Let me move this stuff out of the way here. Just a minute. Raise that out of the way. So when I have this in here, and this side of the motor box, this is a template motor box, is higher than that side. You know, and you see that side is a little low, this side's a little high. Well, and when I measure from the stringer on up to the top, I mean, these should be closer than that. So I think it's because I've got some issues with my combings, which is not that big a deal, but I just want to confirm that my bolt wasn't totally out of whack. So that's what I'm working on now. But I believe I'm going to be able to make this work. I did tone this down some more, because before I thought I was going too much, like it was a little bit too high, but now I did tone it down, and then I also lowered the front part of the motor box just a little. If you remember from an earlier video, I wanted the angle, I think I talked about this, I wanted the motor box to have a slight angle like this, from front a little bit higher to back, going lower, to kind of match the side of the boat is going out. I didn't want it just to be straight level. I didn't want it to be parallel with the stringers, because it just would look too, I don't think that would look as good as having a slight angle. Well, I took away a little bit of that angle to be able to lower that a little bit, which then did make it closer to the top of these risers, exhaust risers, which is going to be okay, because I'm going to have, you know, it's going to be, the top plywood is going to, you know, have an arc to it, and I think I have just enough to go, not interfere with these risers. So again, it's just a game of millimeters here, and I'm tweaking it, but I think I'm getting something that's going to work and look good, that I'll be happy with. And also, I didn't mention this before, but if you remember, the original board that was in here was not this wide. You know, it basically was 3 inches. It's this one over here, if you remember that. These, they're the original frame members is what they look like. And but I would like more support, and there's no reason why I can't do that. So I made these templates wider, and I'll cut the real ones wide like this too, to provide better support. But in here, if you notice, since it's a little higher in the center, that's actually wider too, so it'll give some support. And then I do plan on having a support piece going down somewhere in the middle, or I may have a bulkhead. And I've talked about doing both, a bulkhead piece of plywood on both sides to help provide support. And then remember, there's another board or another frame member goes here, and then there'll be battens kind of like this, but only roughly a foot wide. And so it should provide pretty good support and strength. So I just figured out, I measured from the top of my stringer, a rough measurement up, a measurement from top of stringer up to the top of this on both sides. And that side is a little lower than this, so that actually explains some of this variability. It's not just because of my rough sanding on the combing. So, and the reason for that is I basically have that support board setting on the floor on each side, and there's a slight variation between my floors on the port and starboard, and so they're not exactly the same, so don't tell anybody. And but so I've got to figure out exactly how I want to deal with that, but at least I know up here that I'll be able to dial that in. Getting some more things sorted out of my motor box. So I shored up these side template frames, so they were the same on both sides as accurately as I can. And then this piece, I screwed that in, and I cut another piece back here and I screwed that in. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do back here. But it's held solid now, and then what I've done is now I'm able to take just a piece of 4mm here because it's nice and flexible. Hold on. Then I can see what it's going to look like. What that arc will look like, and I can slide it up like this, kind of see. But yeah, and of course that arc matches this frame here, this frame, remember? So, which is the back part of this decking, if you remember this. Imagine a deck that's a little decking that, if you remember from before, it's about 12 inches wide. I'm actually going to make it 11.5 to allow this to move forward a little bit. That made it work as far as interference goes with the engine stuff. So what I'm also looking at is how much room I have above these risers, and so it's actually working out pretty well. I've got a little bit of a gap here, so I've got a little bit of room to angle this down a little more. You actually can see I want it to match roughly, if you see that far side of the boat there, I wanted this angle to be similar to that. Well, I had to raise it up a little bit just to make room for these and try to match this here. But I've got a little bit of room, so I might tweak that down just a hair because I want it to be closer to that angle. And so I think I've got room to do that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some cross members that go across here, one here, and I might do one here. They're only going to be about 1.25 inches wide, because if I lower this down, this part of the engine, that center part, you can see those, that part right up there, that sticks up enough that I can't make them close to 3 inches wide like these are. So I'm going to have, I think, a couple here, and then I may put one here for support, and then back here I may put a double up of something back here. But again, I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do back here just yet. But I'm getting there. So I'm continuing on with making a prototype motor box. So here's what I have so far. I went ahead and I've got a centerpiece in here, or sort of central. And I'll show what that looks like, I guess, when it's installed in the boat. But I'm getting sorted out a little bit what I'm going to do here. Now these pieces are on the outside. They'll be flush when I actually make it, because remember the sides there'll be plywood there, so there'll be some good support from the plywood as far as holding these parts together. Now I do have these joints here, which I probably will do still when I make the real one, because I want it to be as narrow as possible this way. I could just butt this right up to here, because there'll be plywood to help stabilize it, but I don't know, I probably won't do that. But I also probably will put a center support in the real one. And then my intent is to put maybe another one of these somewhere in the center, and then towards the back, which is back here, I probably will put another one close, maybe right even up next to this one, because the lift point for the engine is in the way there. I'll show that here in a minute. But these will come down, and then this will go flat. Now remember, this won't be sticking out, it'll be in line with this. But so this is 6 inches, and then I'll have this go across here, some kind of an arc piece, probably similar to this arc. I'll have 2 of them, probably one outside or here in the outside and then in here. And then, so this will be flat, so the plywood will come down, or yeah, this motor box will come down and then be flat. And then I'll have like 3 cup holders, my plan, assuming I can finagle that with my exhaust hoses and things. But I'll show what it looks like here in the boat in just a second. So here we are with it in the boat. And so here, if you remember, across here, that's where the cup holders will be. And so I should have plenty of room for that. Now, when you, from this side to that far side, there's a relay box there. And when you look at it kind of close to flush, you can see that relay box is sticking up just a little bit, but I intend to have a little arc, probably similar to this arc, which gives me over a 1/2 inch of play, at least in the center. And I think that'll actually make, so I have enough room or there won't be interference with that relay box. So I guess what I may do next is work on cutting some part 2 supports to go across here. And this one will be pretty beefy. Well, actually it'll be supported from below, because this, I want to make this real strong so somebody can sit on it if they want. And so that'll take, I may put 3 cross members, and they'll be wider. These at the widest are like 3 inches, and they go down to, I forget, 2 or 2 1/4. But these I want to make, especially the 2, this one in the center and then this one back here, because there'll be no supports below. This one, again, will have some vertical supports from this base member. But yeah, I want to make that so somebody can sit on it. So it's coming along. So I put a couple clamps down there so this could pivot. So this will give me a feel for what this will be like, how it'll raise up. So there'll be hinges back there, and this will raise up like this so I can access the engine, check the oil and things, dipsticks up there. And my tent also, I'll make it so those hinges, so I can disconnect this cover, actually, and take it off if I need to really get out of the way. Hopefully I don't need to be doing a bunch of stuff like that. But so yeah, that's how it will go up and down. So that'll work good. I'm still not sure about this curve, if it's a little too much like that. So I may tone this down a little. Remember, this piece is also prototype. But the curve arc matches, top of this box will match that. So anyway, it's coming along.